Welcome. We will now start talking about economic sustainability for Module 4, where we're going to be looking at again how this particular pillar of sustainability affects our environment and, of course, our equity. Now, I just want to stress, just because at this point some people are still a little bit confused, remember, in order for something to be sustainable, it has to hit all three of those pillars. If you have something which economically does well forever, but it kills the environment and it's not equal for people, it's not going to succeed again long term. So let's start taking a look at what economic responsibility looks at. And we've seen a lot of companies start going green who started to say, we want to be more sustainable. And sometimes it's for good reasons, sometimes it's well, to make more money. But you know what? No matter what, if those things all work together, it's a good thing. In truth, when we initially started talking about Earth Day, for example, Earth Day was all about the Earth. And then in the 80s, it came up where someone said, maybe in order to save the Earth, we need to stop just sitting there complaining about companies and figuring out a way to have them get involved. I know at one company that I work at, I was fighting for them to recycle for years and years and years. And then one day I convinced them to retrofit the electrical wiring and lights in the place. And we saved so much money. The electricity company called and said, did you guys shut down? After that, they started listening to my ideas after saving that much money. So when we look at it, in some cases, these practices lower production costs and therefore save money. Saving money increases money that you can actually make, and that's a great thing. In other cases, companies are doing it because they know that people want to buy things, which are actually environmentally good. And in some cases, they're just scared about what those environmentally bad products might be doing. So we're starting to see more business leaders move into what we call the triple bottom line of they're not just looking at the bottom line of how much money they're making. They're also looking at how that benefits people and how that benefits the planet. And that's the triple bottom line. So there's a number of different things we need to look at when we're going and looking at sustainable business. One, look at sustainable sourcing. Where are we getting stuff from? If you're cutting down trees, that could be a problem. Sustainable production. What are we doing in order to produce things in a more sustainable way? Things like reducing energy use, promoting renewable energy. Sustainable packaging, things that reduce waste. I don't know about you, I don't like having all that packaging. Or that packaging that we get is recyclable or biodegradable. Or sustainable transportation and logistics. My favorite example, is pretty much everyone's favorite example in sustainability, is the UPS, where they actually redid their entire logistics to make sure that all of their trucks were only turning right. And by doing so, the trucks weren't spending time revving their engines sitting at stoplights, and therefore they saved millions of dollars. And that's all just basically being a little bit more efficient. So all of these things can start helping and reducing the environmental footprint, having better social impacts, and helping companies make more money. So when we start looking at this, we also need to look at building not only a sustainable business, but social capital. We need to be looking at how to be socially responsible. People don't want to buy things anymore if they know it's being created in a sweatshop. And we also have companies have to be honest about what they're doing. And that's how we look at greenwashing. Greenwashing is making claims that aren't exactly as green as they say. A lot of companies started for a while calling themselves green, just changing their name and thinking that would work. But we also have to start talking about what they're really doing. And that's when we look at some of these companies and what's little in the fine print. I love it when the company says we're moving toward being more sustainable, or we have our goals set on being carbon neutral. And you sit there going, well, does that mean you're getting there, or does that mean that you're there? So when we really start looking at it, we need to make sure a company is telling the truth, that they aren't pretending they're doing something they aren't. If they're saying they're using, for instance, 100% recycled material, is that recycled material because it was stuff they were going to throw away? Or is it post-consumer recycled material? Because that means it's all that recycling you're doing is making a difference. So we need to start looking at those claims and those efforts. There are groups out there which look into whether people are telling the truth, but we need to start taking a closer look. One of the big areas where we're seeing a lot of greenwashing right now is fashion. Fashion is the number two environmental problem in this world, second only to big oil. And we're starting to see that many of these people aren't really using recycled materials and aren't really being as ethical as they want. We also need to look at food and agriculture, and we need to look at tourism. Now, one company that I do recommend, and you can Google this, is go to ewg.org. And that is a company, an organization called Environmental Working Group. And they will actually look at some of those products and can help you figure out which ones are the good and which ones are the bad. Now, here's we bring in the one issue, the big old thing that's on everyone's mouth right now, artificial intelligence or AI and sustainability. The reality is to run all of those chatbots is costing an enormous amount of energy. So we're actually starting to see huge environmental costs. First of all, I don't want you to use an AI to write your papers. Just use your own thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. But secondly, you realize how many problems it's causing. There are some good things that AI is doing in terms of addressing environmental issues. But with AI, it's really causing a lot more problems than it's worth. And we also need to look at social responsibility. We need to make sure that we're holding these companies responsible for doing the right thing. This week, you've got a great, and I think a fun discussion board. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. We're going to be actually looking at things that you see that might be greenwashing. Find an ad or an advertisement or something that says it's eco-friendly, it's all natural, zero emissions. My favorite is farm-raised chickens. What do you call a place that raises chickens? It's a farm. Every chicken is farm raised. So get an image or a video to show what that claim is and talk about what it is. And then let's look at it. See, is this greenwashing? Are they really doing the right thing? Or you could actually maybe even have fun and rewrite it. Use your understanding, use what we've learned here to figure out how to write a new claim, a less greenwashing one. Or maybe even if you're an artist, you could draw an image of what you think would be a better one. I'd love to see that. Then we're going to all take a look at what we've got. And don't forget the short paper this week. Again, I think it's another one that you're going to have fun with. We're going to be looking at a number of different sustainability issues, and we're going to start looking about what we're doing and how much humans are contributing to the problem and what we can do as individuals, as businesses, and as a community to make a difference. I hope you really enjoy. I think week 4 is going to be a fun one for you.